Hello and welcome to Siberian Boxing. Thank you for tuning in. The reason for me making this video is to just clarify a few details and try and dispel a few myths. The recent talk of the state of Tyson Fury's gloves in his recent fight with Deontay Wilder. The first point I want to cover is that the footage that you are seeing on YouTube and various other different channels is showing Fury wearing green gloves, which are EverLEST MX style gloves. This footage is being confused with the recent fight, which was February 2020. The fight where Fury is using EverLEST MX is their first fight from December 2018. But for some reason the footage of him throwing a sort of a left hook, and the glove looks distorted as he throws it, as if his hand isn't in the glove properly. That is being used or referred to as footage from the fight from this February. It's completely incorrect, it's completely wrong. The gloves that Fury used in the second fight against Wilder in this February were Paffen Sports. However, the confusion comes over the glove colour. They're both a very similar sort of green colour. But when you do see footage of the fight between Fury and Wilder, the distinguishing feature of that first fight is if you look at Wilder's gloves, his gloves are EverLEST MX, but the difference is that they are completely gold. They're an all gold glove. In the second fight with Fury, again Wilder wears EverLast, which he always does. But they are completely black, but just with a gold thumb. So it's very important to look out for. If you see footage of those fights, the footage being used to show the glove flapping around of this left hook that Fury is throwing. His gloves look the same colour because you can't see the back, you can't see the logo, but those are EverLEST MX, whereas the second fight is wearing Paffen Sport. But it's been confusing. The footage is being said that he gave Wilder such a beating in the second fight because he was cheating, and that he was using the inside of his hand or the palm of his hand or whatever to hit Wilder, but obviously he wasn't. Now the reason why I've got these gloves in front of you here is just to show you something and how difficult it is to manoeuvre. Now these gloves here, these are my fighting sports gloves. The reason why I want to use these initially is because they're an old glove. I've had these about 5 or 6 years. It's a fighting sports heavy bag glove, a gel based glove, but the leather is very, very well worn. I've used these many times. Done a lot of bag work with them, some limited sort of sparring, mostly bag work, but the leather is very soft. So the idea of the leather being soft is to show you that if I can manipulate my hand inside this glove, then it gives you some idea of how difficult it's going to be for Fury to do something similar. Now obviously fight gloves are lace up. So the laces across the gloves make the glove very, very tight. These are Velcro, obviously just for ease of use for bag work. But the fight gloves, they are laced, quite tightly laced, or they can come loose slightly. But the important thing is that the governing bodies and all the inspectors from the other team, and then the boxing board of the state or wherever they are boxing, inspect the gloves. When they're happy with the glove, it's being that the hand wraps have been done correctly, and they've been tied off, the glove gets taped. So the glove is bound before the fight, and usually somewhere you'll get a signature of a person, of a medic or a doctor or an official or whoever, that is signing the glove off to say that they're happy with the glove and they're ready to fight. Now when a hand goes inside the glove, and I've just wrapped my hands very, very quickly, but generally when you're going around the knuckle area and you're going in between the knuckles, in between the fingers, what you are doing is creating a little bit of an area where you can actually sort of grip, which goes inside the glove. So if I move that glove out of the way slightly, if I put my hand inside this glove, what you'll see is, as I go inside, and there you can just about, from the area, most of the palm of my hand is inside it, but you can see an area where you can see skin, just where the wrist is. So when I'm inside that glove, because it's quite soft leather, I can manoeuvre my hand quite well and turn my hand, no real issues. But the hard part here is to try and manipulate my hand so it's inside the glove and it comes further down, because the suggestions that Fury's fist is in this area here. Now it's doable. But this is because this is a very old glove and it's loose leather. I can move my fingers, which are down here, pull them back and then push them into the palm area of the glove, and I can manipulate my hand to move it down, but I can't get very far, because even though my fingers, now you can start to see my fingers are here, which should be up here, I've moved them into that part of the glove. This is tight, so I can't push the glove up my hand. I can't get it off to put my fist in this area. Obviously if I loosen the glove off, I could pull my hand further down. And the next part of the glove now, if my fingers are now curled over, I've got a fish. My thumb is still up here, but my fingers are now down here. If I try and manipulate my thumb, I can't get my thumb down. And this is very loose leather. It's an old glove. These initially I think were sold. I think they're suggested to be 18 ounce, but I do believe these are close to 16 ounce glove. The glove they're using in fights are 10 ounce. The glove may be slightly smaller, but certainly there's far less padding. But even with this larger glove with loose leather, I can't get my thumb down to this area here to make a fist. Now, there is no reason at all, if I want to hit somebody when I'm training or I'm fighting, I want to hit them with this part of the glove here where the knuckle is. So if I put my fingers back in the top part of the glove and I close my hand to make a fist, the line of my arm, when I hit somebody in my knuckle area here, I want to hit them as straight as possible with this part of the glove, which is the back of my hand, the knuckle, or the hardest part, the top part there, to strike someone to get the most power. There is no reason at all why I would pull my fingers down and effectively hit somebody there. All that's going to do is break my fingers. If I'm going to pull my fist into the glove so that I can expose my knuckle area, well again I'd have to have my hand that way around, because even if I got my fist, I'll put that down and I get my hand into that area here, and this was fast, obviously it's Velcro, if it was all properly, if I'm going to hit somebody from the side and swing my glove round, or the same at the top of the glove is flopping around as you're striking Wilder, all you're going to do is hit them with the inside of your hand. You're going to hit them here. That isn't going to do any real damage to someone. You're going to feel more than with the padding, but you're going to break your fingers. If you want to hit somebody, your fist wants to be over because you want to hit them with the knuckle area and strike them with the hardest part of your fist in connection with your arm to make that strike. There's no real advantage of trying to hit somebody either with your palm of your hand and slap them if your hand was open in the glove, and you can see that area there is exposed through this part of the glove here, or if your fingers were down, you're going to break your fingers. There is no reason for that at all. If his hand has moved somehow inside the glove, I don't know how he's doing it, or for whatever reason, if it's this area looks as if his fingers are in the area, but actually it's the palm of his hand. The glove does appear to be flopping around, but again, this footage that is being shown is from the first fight. It's from December 2018, where Fury is using an EverLast MX glove. In the fight we've just had, where he gave Wilder an absolute beating, it's a Paffen Sport glove. Again, they're going to be 10 ounce competition pro gloves, going to be laced off, but the footage being shown is not from that second fight. It's from the first fight, so people are using that as an excuse to say that's why he gave Wilder such a beating. It's footage from a year and a half ago, so it's not relevant at all anyway. But covering that issue off, if he wanted to do it, there's no advantage to actually trying to do that, and really kind of pointless why he would even try and do that. Because again, from the rear of the glove, if your hand is a fist inside the glove here, this area is just completely collapsible. There's no sort of structure or solidity to the glove. You're going to hit somebody, it's just going to flatten. And to be honest, if you do strike in that area there, it hurts your fingers or hurts your hand. If you're coming into something from the side, there's no advantage why anybody would want to do that in a fight. Trying to hit somebody from the inside of your hand, you're going to damage yourself. So that is a hard thing to do inside of a tighter glove. And again, I've got another pair of gloves to the rear that I'll show you. Now these again are a 16 ounce glove, but they're a newer glove, so the leather is much stiffer. Again, it's a Velcro pattern. The glove in the competitions are laced. It's going to be a much tighter fit. If I put this glove on, and it is a much tighter fit, again you can just about see the palm of my hand Now if I just roll the Velcro around and fasten the glove, this being a tighter fit, I can just about, if I try really hard, no, I can just about get my fingers down there, see? Now, you can't really see my fingers through there, but I'm trying to make a fit. There is no way I can get my thumb out of here. The leather is far too tight, it's a smaller, compact glove, and there's no way that I can try and make a fist in this area to try and cheat. Furthermore, again, it's the issues if you're hitting them with your fingers, if you're hitting them from the side. This part of the glove, obviously softer, I'm going to move around as you manipulate the glove, but you're going to be hitting on the inside of your hand. That serves no advantage at all. You want to strike somebody there, as I've said before. So, personally, I don't think Tyson Fury has moved his hand inside the glove. It may have moved, but obviously if he has moved the glove inside, he'd have needed help, because at the start of the fight, as I've said, the commissioners or whoever would have seen that the glove was laced up properly. It would have been wrapped off with tape, and I think in the first fight it was wrapped with red tape. I think it may have been done with red tape the second fight as well. That's going to have a signature on it. So somebody in the corner, it would have taken more than basically Fury on his own to have somehow manipulated his hand inside that glove. But as I've explained a few different points or reasons why, there's no reason why you want to strike someone with the inside of your hand when your hand is going to be back, and it's a weaker strike point. Whereas when with your hand is turned over and you strike correctly, that's going to do far more damage. And obviously in a 10-ounce glove compared to a 16-ounce glove, that's going to cause an awful lot of damage. There's no reason why you would want to move your hand or manipulate around anyway. But there is something I've seen on one of the videos, which helps explain something of Fury's style. He doesn't always punch straight. Now obviously I'm southpaw, so I'm the other way around, but he would jab with his left. Now the thing when you jab with your hand, when you're jabbing, you're normally going to jab straight, so you're going to do straight punches to connect with the target. Fury sometimes, and you can see there with this older glove, you can bend it quite easily. He flicks like this, and I've seen many videos and footage of him and Ben Davison working on pads, and he strikes that way. So the glove, as you can see as I'm flicking the glove round, he can bend the hand quite a lot and flick out with the glove to strike the target rather than just making a straight contact. He tends to flick and punch like that, which looks as if his hand sometimes isn't even inside the glove. But obviously it is, it's taped up, it's secure. My hand's inside this glove, but it's a hard thing to do, to actually manipulate your hand inside of a glove. Bearing in mind as well, those fight gloves I've mentioned there, the EverLEST MX or the Paffen Sports, are going to be a 10-ounce glove, and they're going to be quite small and compact. I'm not as big as Fury, but Fury's going to have huge hands. Now I'm 6'5", I'm still got quite large hands, so for mine I have a huge amount of trouble trying to get gloves that fit me, because of the size of my hand, the length of my fingers. To find a glove that fits and that's comfortable, that I can really make a fist in and tie that around, that is a hard thing to do, and I've been through many different types of gloves trying to do this very thing. Now just something else I'd like to clarify about Tyson Fury's hands, because these either EverLast MX or Paffen Sport gloves, the 10-ounce competition fight gloves, they're going to be slightly smaller than these. If I can just about get my hands in these gloves, I have tried on a rival glove, an XL, I think it was a fight glove, a Guerrero style glove, and I struggled to get my hand inside those gloves. So proportionately, Fury's probably going to have hands slightly larger than mine. For him to get inside of a 10-ounce fight glove, whatever brand it's going to be, and to be able to manipulate his hand inside, when that I've heard the EverLast MX gloves are quite soft leather, and they can be manipulated to some extent, but to get your hand inside the glove and manoeuvre it around so that you've got a fist inside this area here, and then for whatever reason to bend the glove back, it's senseless. There's no advantage for Fury in that instance to have a fist like that inside of the glove with this flailing around on the end and then trying to hit somebody in the inside of your finger. His hand's going to be, as I said, larger than mine. So with a 10-ounce glove, I don't know what advantage or why he would be trying to move his hand. The best thing would be to do is to bend the glove further around at the top part to break the padding here, to expose that part of the fist to drive the punch home. Personally, I just think, for whatever reason, certain people are clutching at straws. Maybe Wilder got beat up in this fight in February, and they're referring to footage of Fury allegedly cheating, but it's from a fight from December 2018, so there's some confusion and mix-up over what gloves are being used and when those punches were being thrown, but it was definitely from the first fight in 2018, not from the fight we've just had in February, where it was a different glove, and Wilder took a beating, and there's excuses for Fury was manipulating his gloves and his fist inside the gloves. Wilder said his costume was too heavy, that it weighed something in the region of 40 pounds and tied him out and weighed him down. Well, interestingly enough, I'm a follower of Joe Rogan and his podcasts, and in that interview with Wilder, Wilder very clearly states himself and vest. So this vest that he's carrying is not just heavier than the costume he's got, but he's training in it. So he's running around, doing regular exercises, running, sprints, jumps, whatever he's doing to train, but yet walking slowly 50 yards for a couple of minutes in something that weighed similarly, allegedly wore him out. So personally, I think people are just looking at ways to excuse Wilder for his performance, but whereas they're taking away from what Fury did in that fight was to basically destroy Wilder and bully the bully, and hit him with everything he had and just attack him the way that he did. That's the real reason behind his victory, was that he changed his fighting style, and he said he would, and instead of sort of holding off from Wilder and trying to box him, what he did was go to him, and he put it on him and outpowered him, just getting the beat down, and it's as simple as that. There's no excuses need to be made. Wilder just lost fair and square, and obviously he's put the third fight into action now with the contract clause. Hopefully that's going to be sometime around July, so for me it's probably the same result again. Wilder has a chance with his right hand as always, but to be fair, I think that's all he has, but we'll see what happens. But I hope that helps clarify what's gone on with those gloves, and the confusion over the footage is that there is a mix-up being made here, and very clearly in the second fight Fury was wearing different gloves, and there were no instances where his fist inside the glove.